Hi, and welcome back to the Britt Mayer Show, where we talk about culture, politics, faith, and health, and the stories that matter most to you. And today I am so excited to be joined by my friend, Bethany McDaniel, and we are going to get real about clean living as an act of rebellion and stewardship. She is the Jesus-following powerhouse who turned her family's regenerative farm in Southern California into a wellness empire. She is the founder of Primally Pure, which is a toxin-free skincare line that was born from a tiny little kitchen experiment. She's now the mom to three. She's a wife and the host of the Grounded Wellness podcast. And from ditching synthetic chemicals that wrecked her health to building a multi-million-dollar brand honoring ancestral ingredients and soil health, her story proves that true skin health starts with faith, curiosity, and a commitment to what is real. I'm so excited because we are going all in. We are going to talk about Botox, anti-aging, acne, your teen's skin, and why it matters what you put inside your body that truly determines your skin's overall health. You guys are going to love this. It's loaded with practical tips and tricks. Wherever you are listening, please like and subscribe so that this story and this information gets to more people. And with no further ado, here is my amazing conversation with Bethany McDaniel. Here's your reminder to get your kids' teachers some unique gifts. Even if they are a liberal, this is a great gift to give them. These are resistance candles. They are clean, made in the USA. They are small batch, hand poured, and they don't have any woke garbage. Plus, every single one of them is a nod to our history as Americans. This one is the Trading Post, and it smells so good. Oh, this one's one of my favorites. It says notes of sun-warmed figs, fragrant spices blended with dark coffee beans. I'm actually going to light this right after. It smells so good without any of those nasty toxins that give you a headache and disrupt your hormones and all the other bad stuff. These make the perfect gift for teachers this year. You can get them at resistancecandles.com. Use code RootedWings. Every single candle comes in these cute boxes, so it makes it really easy for you to just wrap a little ribbon around it and call it a day. I would be shocked if the teachers that you give these to do not rave about how unique and perfect they are. They make the perfect gift this Christmas season. Resistancecandles.com. Use code RootedWings. Bethany McDaniel, thank you so much for joining us. I was just telling you in the green room how I am so excited for this interview. I think probably because I feel like I have slight skin in the game because I've used your products for so long. And I remember coming to your tiny little farm in Temecula, and I'll have a story I'll share later about that. But it's been a long journey with you, so I'm so excited to officially have you on the podcast.
I'm so excited too. That's wild. I can't wait to hear the story about visiting the farm back then.
It's funny. It's a good one, and it shows how far we've come in the world of health. But let's just talk a little bit about how you even got started in what you're doing now, which is really like you are the maven of natural health in a saturated industry. So how in the world did you end up here?
Thank you. Yeah, I struggled with my skin as a teenager and did every conventional solution that I was told to do and that I saw commercials advertise on TV. And I was just really desperate at that time to figure out my acne. And I remember going to the dermatologist and saying, is there anything that I could do to actually solve this rather than like using these creams and these medications that you're prescribing to me? Is there something that I could be doing differently, maybe something, a different way I could be eating or anything like that? And she was just like, nope, this is purely genetic. There's nothing you can do. And as a teenager, I accepted that and just continued using everything that was prescribed to me. And then it wasn't until later on in life when my now husband and his dad and brothers started this regenerative livestock farm called Primal Pastures that I started eating differently and noticed that I felt so much better and that my skin was much more clear as a result. And that kind of just got me on this path of figuring out like, okay, I was eating the wrong way my entire life. Like what else have I been doing wrong? And then I looked into skincare products. And I was really shocked when I found out that not everything sold to us on store shelves has been tested for safety. In fact, there are tens of thousands of ingredients that have never been tested for safety that are still being sold on store shelves. And I just got really passionate about formulating my own natural alternatives in my kitchen. I started selling them at our farm stand and then on the farm's website, and was really surprised that a lot of people were super interested in what I was doing and loving the products, and that really fueled me to keep going. And today we are still headquartered in Southern California in Temecula, and I have about 140 employees now. We make almost all of our products in-house, and yeah, never could have guessed that this is where we would end up.
It's such a wild ride, even to hear you say you have 140 employees. That's got to be mind-boggling even for you, where you're like, what? How is this my story?
Yeah, it's bananas.
Was your background in the world of skincare? Did you have any
No.
background? No.
No, not at all. I mean, I studied communications and creative writing.
Oh, so totally
in college.
disconnected from the world of health.
Completely, yes.
So you really self-taught yourself then, just being in your kitchen and whipping up. I feel like that was the era of all of us mamas were starting to get a little crunchy. That's when I kind of stepped in and I overhauled my health and eating. I couldn't get pregnant. And so that's how I actually found you guys, was through my nutritionist down in San Diego. And she was like, there's this tiny little farm that sells farm to table. Like they do true pastured meat. I remember her saying true pastured chicken and eggs, go get those things. And I was able to get pregnant naturally by truly overhauling my diet. And you guys were a huge contributing factor to that. So I thank you for, I know it's really sweet to think back, but that would have been, 13 years ago was when you guys were first getting started. So my funny story is I remember coming out to your farm and my nutritionist was like, you need to be, cause I had thought I was healthy. So I was doing low fat. I was doing all the things. I also had skin issues. I had been on birth control. And then when I wanted to get pregnant, we just couldn't get pregnant. So there was a thought that I had endometriosis. And I was like, before I go that route of surgery to determine if that's the cause, I'm going to hook up with a nutritionist. Found an amazing nutritionist, Sharon Brown, down in San Diego. And she was with Kim Schutte at Biodynamic Wellness. Loved her.
Yeah.
And knew her personally. They were just amazing. And they were like, no, your diet sucks. You actually need to get red meat in your system. You need eggs. You need a raw egg yolk in your smoothie. Like all the things that I was like, what is
Great
this
advice.
witchcraft? But I took their advice because I was so desperate. And I ended up at your farm. And I remember them saying, ask if you can get chicken feet for bone broth. And I was also in this new era of making my own things, because really at the time, the market wasn't what it is now. So you had to make so much from scratch. And so Sharon was like, ask them if they have chicken feet. And I'm like, chicken feet? But okay. And so I remember going up to your farm and asking the guys, it was probably your husband and one of the other guys, like, do you guys
They
by
remember
chance?
you, by the way. Yeah, when I was like, I told them I was going on your podcast. They're like, oh yeah, Britt, she used to come to the farm.
I did. I would get chicken feet. And I remember the first time I asked, they were like, you want chicken feet? I'm like, yes, I want chicken feet. So the next time I came up to your farm, they literally handed me a garbage bag, like a black garbage bag of chicken feet that were frozen. And I gave them to all my friends down here because we were all kind of going nutty with health and yeah, so that's just a fun memory that I remember bringing a chicken or a trash bag full of frozen chicken feet. If I had gotten pulled over, I don't know, you'd find it on the internet still.
No, that's hardcore. I remember back in the day before broth was more widely available. I mean, now our farm makes broth and that's what I use, but I used to take like a lamb's head and put it in a crock pot and make broth out of that. The eyeball would be like sticking out, and yeah, that was wild.
But it got us healthy. And so that's where it's like you were on the cutting edge of this new era that I think we're still trickling into, but also health has become such a staple term now. There is such a departure from the mainstream cosmetic industry, the mainstream healthcare industry. COVID really was like a wake-up call for a lot of us to figure it out and get off the system and conveyor belt. But you were ahead of the curve in all of that. So just looking back at all of that, what do you think was your turning point in where you really saw what you're doing with Primally Pure, your company, go from this kitchen hobby to what it is now, which is a force in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, there was no one big moment. It was just kind of a steady growth over the years. And for sure, in the last several years, there has been even more of a surge in interest. I mean, tallow is one example of that. I started formulating products with tallow over 10 years ago when I started the company, just because I thought it was a really cool ingredient that our ancestors used. And it just made sense to me that this ingredient that was so rich in fatty acids, so biocompatible with our own skin, that I would want to include that in our products. And I would have never been able to predict that tallow would become this trending ingredient that it has become today. But I just think that people are now seeing that we've been lied to, we've been doing a lot wrong for a long time now, and it's not working. And a lot of people are suffering, and people are wanting to return to a more ancestral way of doing things. So for sure, in the last few years, we've seen a big shift in that. And then early on too, I think that there were not a whole lot of natural skincare products on the market that actually worked. Deodorant is one of our best-selling products, and when I started Primally Pure, I was like determined to make a natural deodorant that worked, because there were natural deodorants on the market.
Oh, they were horrible. They were so bad. Yes.
Yeah, you might as well have just worn nothing.
Yep.
And so that was a huge focus of mine. I knew that when I had a formula that was good enough for my husband, who was a farmer at the time, that it would be good enough for most people. So yeah, I think I've just been super determined and passionate, and haven't really wavered in that passion.
You know, sky's the limit, just seeing how far you've gone. How are you these days balancing the farm life, being a mom in California and all the busyness with that, and then also being a CEO of a huge company in the world of health?
Well, I stepped down as CEO a few years ago,
okay,
which has been great for me.
Okay.
I brought on one of my husband's best friends as kind of a business partner a few years into the company, and we were co-CEOs for a while. And then I think it was when I was pregnant with my third that I was like, I really just want to focus on the things that I feel like I can be most effective in. And by that point, like, it was really challenging to manage people and hold them accountable, and also do the creative stuff, and then also be a mom and a wife, and
too much.
Yeah, and making that shift was huge, and really freed me up to focus on the content that we provide as a company, and product development, and the things that I really love. And I still work really closely with a lot of the people on my team, but I'm not actively like managing them, which has been huge. And then we have a really amazing community here in Temecula. My husband is one of 5, and all of his siblings and their families live within like a 5-mile radius. So we just have a really great support system, which is super helpful with all the mom stuff and business stuff.
I still can't believe how far you guys have come. It, to me, is shocking. When we got back in touch, I was like, I cannot believe you are that girl from back in the day that was just starting up in the kitchen. It's just so wild.
So funny.
Did
we ever meet at the farm back then?
I feel like we did. How old is your oldest?
She is 9.
Okay, we may
I wouldn't have had her yet.
No, so I think I remember meeting you when I had my oldest, who's almost 13. I feel like I remember having her swaddled and coming up to the farm. And I mean, I knew your husband and the guys up there. It was before you guys moved, because you moved locations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I remember meeting you.
You were at the original farmhouse.
Oh, girl, I was
like,
OG.
It was an actual like house.
It was literally
that we were all living in. All of us were living there together. It was crazy.
That's what I love about your story, though, is because you really did start from the ground and built up to what you are now. I want to talk to you about the world of natural beauty against the world of mainstream beauty. And is it truly possible to overhaul your deck, your skincare, your deodorant, all the things to pursue natural beauty without tapping into the mainstream stuff? Or do you see it as a balance where it's like, you're going to have to compromise on A, B, and C?
I don't see it as a balance. I think it's completely possible to do a full overhaul, maybe not overnight. And I think that's where a lot of people might get hung up. They might say, you know, it's too overwhelming, it's too hard, so I'm just gonna not do anything at all. And that's the wrong mindset. No matter how like slowly you go, every swap you make is going to make an impact. There are so many toxins in our environment, as you know, that we don't have full control over, but this is something that we do. And so any little change we make is going to make a difference. And for every conventional product out there, there is a natural alternative that is going to be just as effective, if not more effective.
Okay, let's get into it then, because you are probably creeping up on your 40s. I'm post 40 now, and I have not had any work done, but we live in California where everyone and their mother, literally, and their grandmother is having work done. And I'm really not interested in it, but I also want to age gracefully. So what do you say are the alternatives? Like when in pursuing not eternal youth, but in aging gracefully, especially when it comes to skincare, because I'm assuming it's not just slap tallow all over your face, although maybe you're going to say, yes, that is it. But what are like natural tricks and tips then for us if we don't want to tap into that market and we want to age gracefully?
Yeah, I mean, facial massage, I think is huge. If you do that consistently, that is going to bring about health in your tissues. It's going to bring circulation to the surface of the skin, break up stagnation. It's really going to build healthy muscle tissue long term. It helps with lymphatic drainage. So rather than doing something like Botox, which is a toxin, there's no getting around that. And you can't separate your health as a human being from the health of your skin. I think in the world of mainstream skincare, we like to think of the skin as kind of a separate entity from the rest of the body. And I've never seen a skincare company other than us, and maybe some other companies now, but we were really the first ones to say, like, no, your health as a human being actually matters. And that's why we're so big on content, because how you treat your body is going to be reflected in the health of your skin. So how you're eating is going to be reflected in the health of your skin. Like what you eat for breakfast should be considered like part of your skincare regimen, because that kind of thing actually matters a lot in how we age. And so rather than eating inflammatory foods and not prioritizing, not taking care of our stress loads and not sleeping, rather than doing these things that are going to create inflammation in the body and actually age you prematurely, we should really be taking inventory of how we live in general. So the products that we're using for sure, and choosing products that are clean and that are not going to burden our body with toxins, which will in turn accelerate aging and create this idea called inflammaging, where we are aging prematurely because we are just so inflamed as human beings. Just taking inventory of kind of everything that we're doing throughout the day and how we're nourishing our skin on the outside and also on the inside. All of that is going to help us to age better and more gracefully over time.
Okay, so then this is what I want to know. If you were to say, these are my top 3 things for all those sweet mamas listening to this who are like, okay, I'm game. Give me 3 things I can do right now to change what I've been doing. Maybe they've been doing Botox, or I don't know, whatever it is. They use Estee Lauder and they're like, I want to change 3 things that I will be the most impactful, but aren't going to require me to be a cult devotee to the world of natural beauty. What top 3 things? And then I want you to give me the gimmicks on the market right now that you are like, that thing, it is all the rage and it is so ridiculous. That is not going to give you what you are wanting it to give you.
Yeah. Okay. 3 things. I do think red light therapy is really helpful. So if you can get your hands on a good red light device and do that at least 2 times a week, but preferably more like 4, 5 times a week. That's going to make a big difference in the health of your skin. It's really good for the mitochondria, really good for our skin cells and producing collagen. And so doing that consistently, that's the thing with a lot of these natural habits. We have to be consistent in doing them regularly and not just like once a week or once every other week. Then it's not really going to have an impact. But I do think red light therapy can be really helpful if you do it consistently. I mentioned facial massage, but specifically facial cupping, I love. There's gua sha, there's different forms of facial massage, but I really love facial cupping tools. And it's something that's
It's like the
really,
silicone cups.
Yeah.
I have those and I've never used them.
Oh, they're great. They're so good.
Do you do them every night? How do you use it?
I do it just about every night. So I will do it kind of at the end of my routine. So I use our cleansing oil to wash my face, and that's a really nice way of washing that gets really deep into the pores to dissolve like dirt and grime, but it doesn't strip the skin of its natural moisture barrier. So I love using cleansing oil, and then I'll use our everything spray as a toner, and then our plumping serum. I will, I'll massage that into my skin a little bit with my fingers, and then I'll take our facial cupping tool. And there's a little bit of a method to it. It's not hard. You just kind of like suction it.
Drag it.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you have enough serum on, enough oil on the skin so that you're not like tugging too much. but
You'll give
just
yourself
kinda-
hickeys all over.
Yeah, my sister-in-law forgot about it because she was like doing laundry and doing it, and she left it on her forehead. She had like a big bump on her forehead. So you
Oh,
don't
that's
want to
really sad.
don't want to leave it on for too long. But yeah, you just kind of like lightly pull it outward and upward on the face. It feels so good on the forehead. It's so good for breaking up that stagnation. I don't think we realize how much tension we hold in our face from just expressions and emotions throughout the day. So not only is it so good for just promoting circulation, lymphatic drainage, all of that, and movement. I mean, yeah, and just again to contrast that with Botox. With Botox, we're paralyzing the muscle tissue. Over time, if we're not using our muscles, they are going to weaken and atrophy. And so that's why there is more and more talk now of how Botox, when used repeatedly over the course of years and years and years, can actually cause the face to kind of shrink and the muscles to kind of shrink in, and can cause like sagging and just, a lot of dysregulation in our facial tissues.
Yikes. I mean, that's alarming because now it's like 20-year-olds are getting Botox.
Yeah, I know. And that was not a thing. It used to be something that only
40,
middle-aged people
45, yeah.
might do. Yeah. And so I don't think we have fully even seen the ramifications of people starting Botox at, in their 20s. So I love red light therapy. I love facial cupping. If I had to pick a third, I would say like diet. And if I had to give one tip on how to eat well to promote skin health, it would be including well-raised animal protein at most of your meals, if not every meal. It's going to help so much with balancing blood sugar. When our blood sugar is imbalanced, something called glycation happens. Eating protein at every meal is going to really help to stabilize blood sugar.
What about the gimmicks? What do you think right now you hear being touted as this is what you need to invest in if you want anti-aging, you want skin health? Because there's so much now. The market is so saturated. What do you think? Like, it's so overrated. Don't waste your money.
There's so many at-home devices, and I guess like anything radio frequency really, I think is a red flag. I've talked to so many plastic surgeons about this now, and especially some of the more intense treatments that you would go to like a med spa for and get there in terms of radio frequency, or some of these like laser type things, Morpheus 8, can like cause the tissues to fuse together in a really unnatural way and can actually melt facial fat, which is not a good thing. That's how our face stays plump and youthful throughout the years. So things like that I would steer clear of completely. And I just think that instead of even all the at-home stuff, I think a red light is really the most tried and true thing. Maybe more information will come out on some of these other things in the coming years. Maybe some will prove to be really beneficial. I think a lot of them will prove to be kind of harmful. So I would steer clear of just buying into too many of these like at-home
New
devices.
like the new things that are hitting
Yeah.
every other day. It did not, like when we were just starting out 15 years ago, in our health journeys, I feel like the market has become so dominated by quote unquote health. And I think there's the term greenwashing where and I want to talk to you about that too. Just the greenwashing of labels where you think something's healthy because it says it's natural, even deodorant. What red flags do you look for when a product touts itself as being natural that you would tell our audience, like, just be aware that it might not be as natural as you think it is?
Yeah, it's wild out there because companies know that people are looking for this. And so, I mean, you'll see the most toxic products nowadays, and they will find something to use to market their product as being non-toxic. And even if they're not saying non-toxic, they'll say something like made with essential oils or made with coconut oil. And maybe there is coconut oil or essential oils in that product, but it's at the very bottom of the ingredient list. Under a long list of chemicals, and ingredients are ranked from the most, the ones that make up the bulk of the product are listed first, and the ones that make up the lesser amount of the product are listed last on the ingredient label. So
it's like a smear of coconut oil after you put in all the fragrance,
Right. I mean, I think like all of these icons that we see on the product labels, there's the Leaping Bunny certification. It just means that it wasn't tested on animals or doesn't contain animal-based ingredients, which we don't test our products on animals, but we do use animal-based ingredients. And I think vegan products were very on trend when I started Primally Pure.
Oh, yeah.
And now I think animal-based ingredients are becoming more popular, but people will still use that label to market their product as seemingly like natural. Dermatologist tested is another one that literally just means that a dermatologist swabbed the product on their skin. Doesn't even mean that they didn't react to it. It just means that it was tested by some dermatologist somewhere.
That is funny when you think about that. It never says tested and proved for,
Yeah,
it's just tested.
Right. It's just tested, just someone tested it. And then there, terms like non-toxic, terms like natural, like no one's regulating these. So it's just, people just need to keep that in mind when they're looking at products. Like it could really say anything on the product's packaging, and you really just have to look at the ingredients to know what's in it.
Well, talking about ingredients, you made quite a splash, no pun intended, with your sunscreen. You and I were going back and forth because we were shocked at the response to. So why don't you share with the audience what your sunscreen mania caused? I mean, you were crucified over your sunscreen ads.
It was wild.
And why sunscreen is actually something that we should be thinking about, especially in California.
Yeah, sunscreen is such a big one. And so for anyone who isn't familiar with the campaign that we did, we launched a sunscreen, a tallow-based sunscreen made with non-nano zinc oxide as the UV, the active UV blocking ingredient in the product. And we released a bunch of billboards that said, the sun isn't poison, but your sunscreen is. And we were called anti-sunscreen. We were literally selling a sunscreen, but we were labeled as anti-sunscreen. I was called a lot of names. People were saying that we were going to, people would die because of this billboard campaign, which was wild. But our intention was really just to raise awareness about the harmful effects of these chemical UV filters in sunscreens. And there are 19 of these on the market in the United States. And the FDA actually came out with a letter a few years ago saying, we don't actually know if any of these are safe anymore. They were previously deemed GRAS, or generally recognized as safe. And we actually can't say for sure that they are safe. We're going to still allow them to be sold and used, but we're not sure if any of them are safe. And the only two that we do know are safe are titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, which are the mineral filters. So these chemical UV filters, they're absorbed into the bloodstream. One study actually found that they were absorbed into the bloodstream at 400 times greater than the limit that's actually considered safe. So these UV chemical-based ingredients, we don't really know like what they're doing to people, what the safety actually is. A lot of them are carcinogenic in nature, and they work by, the reason they're carcinogenic is because rather than blocking the sun like zinc oxide does, it creates a physical barrier that blocks the sun. But these chemical filters, when you apply them and then when the sun hits them, they undergo a chemical reaction in the skin, and the byproducts of that chemical reaction, we're finding a lot of them are carcinogenic. So one of the popular UV blocking ingredients is called octocrylene, and the byproduct of the chemical reaction of the sun hitting octocrylene is a well-known carcinogen called benzophenone. And then these spray sunscreens, the propellants in these spray sunscreens are all benzene derivatives, and anything in the benzene family is carcinogenic. So these spray sunscreens and chemical filter sunscreens in general are super problematic, and our intention was just to raise awareness for people to be more thoughtful about.
Don't come after those sunscreens in California. We learned.
It was truly, I knew that it would upset people. I didn't realize the extent to which it would upset people. But I still firmly believe the sun is not poison. The sun is so vital to life. Sunlight is responsible for so many important parts of health. It is how we synthesize vitamin D. So it's really important for immune function. There was a study in Sweden done on a group of almost 30,000 women, and they were followed for about 20 years. And there was a group that applied sunscreen but there was a group that avoided the sunscreen on a daily basis, and there was a group who didn't. And the group who avoided the sun, they were found to have the same cardiovascular mortality as pack-a-day smokers.
Whoa.
And so it just goes to show how important sunlight is for overall immune health. And then, so much of our hormonal signaling is dependent on light as well. So the sun is not something that we should be avoiding, but we should be thinking more about how to interact with it in a wise way. We're not advocating that people go out in the sun and use no protective measures and just burn day in, day out. Like, that's not what our intention is, but we just need to take like a common sense approach to how we interact with the sun.
That's a good thing going into January when this podcast is first going to drop. Just thinking of ways to slightly trend toward more health for your family when it comes to the things that you put on your skin, and as moms, what we put on ourselves. That's kind of like an easy one to focus on, is what are we going to do for sunscreen going into the next year, and in California going into the next summer. I think you need to run a second campaign where it's like, we're back.
Have to gear up for that one.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
We do have more SPF products in the works, though.
Good,
so
and I love them.
Might be hearing more from us.
I love them. You sent them to me when we went out to Sedona, Arizona, which was a great opportunity to test them out. And I thought they were fantastic. I loved them. We did not burn. I used them on my whole family. I thought they were very elegant, just the way that they felt on the skin. So yeah, go grab some of your sunscreen, because it's not even, you didn't call it sunscreen. What did you call it?
SPF. Yeah. Either one.
It's fantastic though. Yeah. I will do a little pitch, and I didn't even tell you I was going to do this because this is not an ad, but I have used your sunscreen or your deodorant since it first hit the market. I love your charcoal, and I wish I would have grabbed it, but it would have been probably pretty gross to have shown it. My husband has used it since you first launched, and then I was going to show you this. So for anyone listening that can't see, this is the almond vanilla body butter, and you can see that I am down to, I just scraped out like almost the very last. This has got to be like my 100th
refill.
I am obsessed with this. And why I wanted to bring this up, I also have the sleep spray that I use every single night on my feet. Spray. I love this. I swear it helps me sleep better.
Yeah.
And then I also have your Blue Tansy oil. So these 3 products, the sleep spray, the body butter, and then the oil, I use every single night without fail. And I wanted to bring it up because so much of this audience are moms who have young daughters or young kids. And I when my daughter first started asking about skincare stuff, this is what I started her on. So my son and my daughter started off on your deodorant and on your body butter, and then they have this little sleep spray next to their bed at night. And I love that that's how they're starting off on their journey when it comes to things that they put on their skin. So I wanted to share that with you, and that is not an ad. I just was like, my family appreciates the work that you have done to just provide excellent products that truly are clean and aren't just greenwashed with the label. So
thanks, Britt. That's amazing. I love that.
For parents who have a teen that maybe is struggling with what you struggled with, acne. That's a common thing that I hear about. What would you suggest? What would be a good recommendation for those parents who are like, the doctor is suggesting Accutane, the doctor is suggesting birth control, which is what my doctor put me on. My doctor put me on birth control for hardly any acne, and it gave me the worst ovarian cyst experience ever. It was awful, awful, awful. And I will it was the worst thing. Come to find out that is very common with birth control. And it was for like 3 little pimples on my face. So anyways, for those parents, what would your recommendation be?
Yeah, I pretty much do the opposite of everything the dermatologist says. Yeah. Sadly, I wish that I had just done nothing. Like if I had just done nothing, I would have been better off than if I had been following the dermatologist's advice, because I was prescribed round after round of antibiotics, which wreaked havoc on my gut bacteria, leading to worse acne. It was such a temporary Band-Aid solution, and not even really a solution, like it barely worked. And then eventually birth control, which did work. It did clear up my skin, but it also created a whole host of other complications down the road. I can't believe that dermatologists are still prescribing both of those things as a solution for acne. It's absolutely bonkers. But I ultimately wish that I would have healed my body internally and had the resources to do that. So if you are able to seek guidance from a functional medicine practitioner to kind of balance things out hormonally and balance out inflammation, that would be incredible. But even before doing that, there's basic things that you can do for your teens to support their overall health and their skin. You can feed them whole foods, steer clear of processed foods, like very basic, include well-raised animal protein in your diet. I know sometimes that can be more expensive, but a great way to go is to buy like a whole cow or a half cow or a quarter cow from a local farmer. And then that way you can get amazing cuts of quality meat at a cheaper price point. Sunlight, developing a healthy relationship with the sun, getting outside, getting exposed to natural light in the morning, avoiding screens as much as possible at nighttime, especially. I know a lot of teens can like stay up late, and they can, a lot of teens are night owls, and screens just kind of exacerbate that. And this is an area that I think a lot of people dismiss, but I'm gonna like keep hammering it over and over because it's so important. We were not meant to be exposed to artificial light at nighttime, and I really think that that is a big one that's wreaking havoc on so many people's hormones, like across the board, teens, adults, everything. It messes with our sleep, and even if you think it doesn't, it is. It's suppressing melatonin, it's suppressing the hormones that our body needs to get a good night's rest, and it's increasing adrenaline and cortisol and everything that keeps us awake. So being really mindful of our light intake is really important, avoiding toxic chemicals as much as possible in personal care products. These chemicals, a lot of them are known endocrine disruptors, so they will attach to hormone receptor sites in the cell and block the actual hormones from getting to the cell and doing what they need to do. And that's not just in skincare products, that's in cleaning products. It's in clothing. And so I know that all those areas at once, thinking about all of it can be overwhelming, but kind of just being aware that we are up against a lot, and you don't have to do everything at once, but you should try, you should make an effort, a continual effort to be on a journey of cleaning up your environment as much as possible. Water is also a big one. Getting a whole house water system if you can, if not, at least like a filter for sure your drinking water, and then also like shower, bathtub, that kind of stuff.
It's also good, and it's interesting you would even go to like the exposure of artificial light, because you wouldn't think that talking about acne you're going to end up on artificial light. So are you a candlelight at night, or what do you realistically do for all the lights that you flip on? And in California it was like LED only. Like, you couldn't even do like any of the halogen or whatever.
No, so there's ways, but and now I think is it legal now?
I think they went back to it being legal.
Yeah, I think it is. We were doing some black market things.
So were we. It was so ridiculous. But I think it's
avoid
legal
LEDs
again
if you can, for sure. And I mean, incandescents are so much better, but even at night, those do have blue light. So I wear blue light blocking glasses at least an hour before I go to sleep. Makes a huge difference. For some reason, people have a hang up with wearing those consistently, but once you start doing it, if you don't do it then for a little while, you're like, oh my gosh, like you feel so assaulted by this artificial light entering your eyes, and it just like it's a difference that you can feel. So I love blue light blockers. I mean, if you can live by candlelight, great, but that's not realistic for most people.
It sounds very romantic. I love the picture of it, but then like the reality of it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to go around lighting my whole house up every single night.
No, I know.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but I love the idea of it.
Birth control is not a solution for acne. So anyone that's thinking about following advice on taking birth control to help with acne, just don't do it.
Yeah, I fully agree, especially with my experience. It's not 100% not worth it at all. Okay, as we wrap up, and it's so sad because I'm like, what? I feel like we only talked for 3 minutes, but no, we're coming to the end of this amazing conversation. Let's talk about an emerging trend in wellness for 2026 that you're looking at, and you can give us a little secret. We won't tell anyone. It's not being broadcast or anything, but anything that you're really excited about in 2026.
Yeah, we are leaning more into the world of animal-based skincare. So we have some exciting products in the works with some really cool animal-based ingredients, which we love because they're just more biocompatible with our own biology, more so than plants. And we use a lot of plant-based ingredients as well. And some plant-based ingredients are amazing, but it's just kind of like, it's like our diets and what we eat. Like if you are someone who eats both plant and animal-based foods, they give you different unique types of nutrients. And we believe that the same is true for the skin, and that the skin thrives using both plant and animal-based ingredients. So it's cool to see that that is also like trending in the world. It's something that we've been doing since the beginning, since I started Primally Pure, and it's awesome to see that picking up more widespread momentum. And then I think another thing that's just that people are becoming more aware of is this like whole body health concept that I've been talking about. But just how do we care for our whole being in a way that is going to be not just good for our internal systems, but also reflect externally. So that's something we're going to continue talking about.
It's so good. I'm excited for whatever's coming in 2026. I can't wait for you to launch your makeup, because I'm like, that's probably coming soon.
Maybe. We're easing into it. So we do have a few cool, like, I don't want to share too much, but in along the lines of SPS, maybe makeup-ish products coming in 2026.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm really excited. I can't wait to hear the critics rave as they raved about your last campaign. But bring it. I'm so excited. I love what you're doing. As we wrap it up, why don't you tell people how they can find you? I love you. I'm so thankful for you. This has been so much fun. So tell people how they can also fall in love with you. And then I would love it if you would share just a couple of your products. And again, this is not an ad. I just love what you're doing. But a couple of your products that you would recommend the audience if they're interested in giving you a test ride and trying to start to convert into more of natural care, what you would recommend from your line that they start with.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I've been following you for years and didn't even make the connection until I think maybe a year ago when we started talking that you were like one of the original farm customers. So yeah, I love that. I think that's amazing. And you've been so supportive every time that the mainstream media has come after us for one thing or another, sunscreen or tallow or whatever it is. But our website is primallypure.com. We have a podcast called Grounded Wellness, and products. Is that the other thing?
Yeah, like top products for anyone who's just starting to dip their toes into the world of natural care and they want to try out a couple. Like, what top products of yours would you say this is a really good starting point?
Yeah. I always say deodorant is a really important one to swap out if you haven't yet. Aluminum is just such an important ingredient to avoid. It blocks our pores, which may sound like a good thing, but it's not. We don't want to get in the way of sweating, which is one of the main ways that our body detoxifies. And not only does conventional deodorant have aluminum, but it also has parabens, which accumulates in breast tissue, and all kinds of things that we don't want to be applying in such an absorbent area of the body. So our natural deodorant is incredible. It actually works to prevent odor. It's a big one. Our body butters are also incredible, which you shared. Anything that we're putting on the entire surface area of our body is really important to make sure that we're finding something non-toxic because of the sheer amount of like surface area that we're applying that product to. So people love our body butters. They're tallow-based. They nourish the skin like nothing else.
They feel so good. And they're good for cuts for kids and sunscreen or sunburns, like any of those little like wounds that are topical. It's my go-to. And I travel with it everywhere. I was going to tell you what I love with this. And for those listening, I love your body butter with that tansy oil, and I combine it. So I like mix it in my hands, and it's so silky, and then it just right out of the shower spreads on. Oh, it's like a dream.
You're gonna love products that we have coming up in February. I'll have to send it to you.
Oh my gosh.
If you like the blue tansy,
I do.
Body oil and the body butter.
I'm so excited. I love it. I already love it. Whatever it is, I love it. This has been a joy. And again, for those who want to follow what you're doing, it is primallypure.com. And then on Instagram, we are Primally Pure. My personal Instagram is
Bethany J. McDaniel.
Yes, and you're wonderful to follow. You're always putting out just little tips and tricks to make it accessible to enter. Just reclaiming our natural health away from the system, which is what's something that I stand by and have for over a decade. And I'm proud to be doing it alongside you. And I'm so thankful that you're just going places. I love seeing you succeed. So tell all of the guys up there I said hi, and this has been such a joy. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Britt.